So it was not an easy transition. And I had some really, really deep, dark lows. And I mean, I ran into depression. I was stuck in that rut for a long, long time, able to come out of that and kind of invigorate my business, rethink the business model. And man, since then, things have been really, really good.
Welcome back to the podcast. We're going to get straight into it with this incredible guest. He's a retired Spec Ops, the face of combat strength training, co-host of podcast University Badassery, teaching tactics, marksmanship, adventure, concepts, and security. It's Spec McNamara. How are you doing?
Great guys. How you doing? Right on. Yep. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So where are you located at the moment?
I am in North Carolina, USA. So East Coast, central East Coast of USA.
Nice.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
And
yep.
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So, so I want to ask, where did the idea of basics dude stuff come from? Like, it's just like such a catchphrase at this point. Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who'd have thunk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that freaking dog has got hunt, man. I mean, it detonated. And to the point where I had to get a trademark on it. It's still only a year old or just over a year old. But so rewind, end of 2019, excuse me. I am sitting on my recliner in white mode. You know, I'm chilling. I got a bourbon in my hand. I'm sitting in my Ranger panties and watching TV with my bride, and she's shopping for appliances because we had 3 appliances go down at the same time. So she found a set of 4 appliances. Yeah. So it you know, oven, stovetop, a dishwasher, a microwave, and a refrigerator. And matching set, price point was good, rated good. And she said, should I buy this? I said, yeah, do it. And she said, hey, and we could have our friend install it because he's a plumber. And I went, Rebecca, man, I can install all that stuff. Because you can? I go, yeah, I can install it. Yeah. I mean, and then it started evolving. Sure. I said, I could do all of this, you know, the stuff. Like I can't build a house, but I could fix a house. I can't rebuild an engine, but I could fix an engine. I know knots. I know fishing, hunting. Come on. You know, I know how to treat my lady. I know all of the basic stuff, not so much of the advanced stuff, but you know, the basic stuff that dude should know, the basic dude stuff. And I instantly wrote it down. You know, I instantly wrote that down, the basic dude stuff.
Oh man.
Because it rang, stuff. You know?
Yeah,
it
does.
It rang.
Yeah.
And then I filled out.
It sticks.
And then I was talking to her. I said, because my bride she's got a really good, like litmus test when it comes to my ideas, because I have so many ideas, and a lot of times she'll thumbs down them, but sometimes she'll go, oh, that's a good idea. And when she says it's a good idea, I know that it's going to, you know, that it's going to walk, that it's going to have wings. Yeah. And I said, there's a lot of stuff that like younger people don't know. And I started writing them down. And I mean, in a matter of like 10 minutes, I had 2 pages full of just everyday tasks, you know, like it's simple as
a whole novel.
As simple as even like, you know, changing a tire, you know, getting yourself out of a bad situation. Or cooking a meal. I mean, so many guys rely on a woman to cook a meal. Bro, you got to be able to cook. Yeah. You know, you got to be able to navigate a kitchen. Yeah, come on. I mean, that's basic dude stuff. 100%. You know, and I'm not talking making macaroni and cheese. I'm talking, you know, can you make a perfect soft-boiled egg? Can you grill a medium rare steak to perfection? Yeah. You know, can you you know, bake something? So and it never, I think I just finished episode 61. 61, yeah. And I've been doing it every week without fail. There's been a couple weeks where I've had to slide a old one back up just because you know, op tempo too busy and such, so I couldn't record them. And then the key to success with those too are you have to work around or cater to the attention span of a person today. And the attention span of a person today, especially younger, is less than that of a goldfish.
Minimum.
Yeah. So, you know, so
Yes.
they're
True story.
yeah. So it's like an amalgamation, a 1 minute amalgamation of about 7-second clips,
Yeah.
you know? So, and then I realized that, that I had something because I have a YouTube channel. It's the Pat Mac YouTube channel. And it's monetized, and you know, it's like you know, $100 a month, woohoo, free money, you know.
Yeah.
I put basic dude stuff up there, and that month $800. I'm like, what the hell?
Brilliant.
I was like, all right, so
this is popping.
there's something, there's something going on with this. So it wasn't long after that. It was just, I think maybe 3 months in to 2020. I said, you know, I've got to hire a lawyer and get this patent, a patent trademark lawyer. And I did. And so I've got it now. It's trademarked.
Nice.
Love it.
It's a good phrase to have trademark.
Best trademark you could ever make.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And there's no end in sight with it. You know, it just keeps going. I think I filmed two today.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Yep.
And you were on Joe Rogan a while ago, and you shared some great moments and wise words. And you were speaking on the importance of functional strength training. So I want to hear, why do you think it's important to get out of the ordinary traditional gym mindset and start to use nature as your advantage?
Well, there's a couple reasons, and I could talk about this for some time. Number one, it's important to exercise, right? It's the greatest therapy for you know, any kind of mental ailment, not just physical, but mental ailment. So, you know, for instance, depression, PTS, you know, those kind of things. It's the greatest therapy for that, right? Just to get moving. And the older we are, the more important it becomes. Now, not only to get moving, but, you know, I like to say motion is lotion, mobility equals survivability. You know, we got to keep it going. So there was two parts to your question. Number one is the importance of mixing it up, you know, getting out of a routine. Routine is the playground of a dull mind. You know, if you work in a routine, you get stuck in a rut, and you're working in a world where you become victim to like complacent adaptation, and you're no longer making goals. You're just doing the same thing. Right. Now, and if that's your thing, rock on, knock your socks off. At least you're doing something. But if you mix it up, you're also feeding the brain too, you know. And if you mix it up and you do if you work outside of your comfort zone, you will recognize voids within your training. You know, it's like, holy man, I can't do this simple movement on one foot because my balance is off kilter, or my proprioception is out of whack, or, you know, I need to work on balance, 1 foot, uneven loads on either side. So I do a lot of bilateral stuff, uneven loads, 1 foot, a lot of transverse plane of motion. Then I realized on top of it all, once we went into lockdown and I started building this driveway gym, that I will never go back to another gym again. I will never. I'm having so much fun. I'm having so much fun doing this. And, you know, so tomorrow through Monday, the weather's supposed to be real poopy here. You know, 30 degrees, that's Fahrenheit, and rain and maybe ice. And it's going to be real poopy. But the thing is, that's even more of a challenge. Can I motivate myself to get outside, put all my crap on, you know, and I'm going to have to work out in boots. Right. And the thing is, because if I could get there, I know as long, because getting there is half the battle, right? So we, on my podcast, we came up with a little slogan, and it wasn't too long ago. And that slogan is just show up. You know, it's like even like for a job interview, you know, whatever it is, you know, a date that you're fretting about. Hey, the first step is just show up. Just show up. So it's the same with the working out thing. You know, if I just show up, if I just make it there, get out of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm going to be real comfortable this weekend in the house, you know, but there's a lot of stuff I have to do outside. I have to cut wood, have to split it. I've got a winter garden to take care of. That's going to motivate me a little bit more to get out there and get after it and get a good workout in. And
Yeah.
and it's fulfilling in that I will always film a snippet of it for those who follow my combat strength training program. So I'll film a snippet of it, put it up on the interwebs, and it's amazing the response I get. The response is, man, thank you so much for putting this up. I was just about to eat a piece of pie or something.
Yeah.
Instead,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put on some clothes and get after it. You know, I'm gonna get
Come
the
on.
body
Yeah.
in motion. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Always
Great.
first step of anything is just showing up, being there. And I think it's also you have to show that you're keen. So just showing up is showing that you're keen for whatever it is, especially like working out. But switching topics a little bit. So you were part of the Spec Ops, and I want to ask, what does it take for someone to actually get into Spec Ops aside from, I think, the quote unquote normal military?
Well, it takes gumption, number one, right? Number one, you got to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are things you have to volunteer
on.
for. Nobody's going to come knock at your door and say, hey, do you want to be a special ops guy?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to
Happening.
sign up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so number one, you've got to enlist in the military. So that's your first
Yeah.
volunteer. Number two, you've got to take this little step and go to a jump school, which is pretty vanilla. It's pretty pedestrian, but that's the second time you volunteer. And then, you know, and then there's one milestone after the other. Okay, what's the next thing that I am going to try to devour? So, you know, for me, there was a series of stepping stones. And at the time, I was fortunate enough to be able to enlist at a young age for special forces, because it's not for the immature. You know, special ops life is for a more mature soldier, you know, regardless of what the branch is, what the country is, it's for a more mature audience.
100%.
Yeah.
enough.
And so I was able at 19 to start the special forces course.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Wow.
Okay.
And a lot of trials and tribulations. It was not easy for me.
Yeah, I can
Because,
imagine.
because I didn't have this. So I didn't have like mental capacity, like, but nor did I have a really good mindset, you know?
Okay.
So I wasn't strong up here yet, but you start evolving, you know, and you start developing this mindset. You start to learn how to, you know, what it means to be self-governed, self-disciplined. And because if you want to succeed in that field, you can't just rely on somebody else to kick you in the butt. You've got to do it yourself. You know, you've got to take extra steps to make sure that you know, that you're fitter than your peer group, that you're keener, that you're doing your own studying on your own.
Yeah.
And then once I made it through special forces, there was always another thing to do. All right, let me go to high altitude, low opening, Halo school. Let me go to combat dive school. Let me go to this school, you know, and then there's different tiers, you know, of special ops. So I finally made it, you know, to tier 1.
Yeah.
And which none of it for me was easy. It wasn't like I just you know, stepped up and said, hey, I'm here, give me a badge. You know, it wasn't like that. It was a lot of trials, tribulations, failure after failure after failure, injury after injury. So there was a lot of luck involved as well. But I am real fortunate to have the career that I did, because it was 22 years of all special ops time. So I'm fortunate.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's incredible.
Yeah. 22 years. Like I'm not even that old. Like, like that's fucking heck. You know? Bro, what does that do to a person, like going through 22 years of like special forces?
Well, you know, you develop a taste for it, and you find those who stick around in it realize that that's their place in the world. That's their place in life. That's where they belong.
Their passion.
You know, the washout rate is ridiculous, right? So the attrition rate in any one of those schools, once again, regardless of branch of service, regardless of what country they're in, the attrition rate is ridiculous. You know, we're talking, you know, 80 to 90% attrition rate in most cases for these different type of schools. So the lifestyle becomes a way of life. You know, for those who make a career out of it, they want the next thing. They want to achieve, you know, greatness in those fields. They want to keep going up another level to another level to another level. You know, they don't just settle for mediocrity. They're like,
Mm.
what can I do next? And they're not doing it. They're not even doing it for the greater good. It's a personal challenge. It's not like, well, my country is depending on me to do this. No, it's it's very personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not.
Wow.
So when somebody says to me, hey, thank you for your service, I kind of feel like a tool because I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it for you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing this for me. Thank you for being a taxpayer, for allowing me to do that. I mean, I just, I mean, I hear it all the time and I'm like, and I just say, hey, thank you. I just say thank you back. That's my response. I don't say you're welcome because that would be like cantankerous,
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Damn. That's phenomenal, honestly. And it was definitely a long journey of yours being in the military and being sergeant major, but what made you want to end the journey and retire?
well, so it was pretty personal. I had I hit a point where I had done everything that I could do.
Yeah.
There was no more qualifications, no more rank, all that. Now, it wasn't an easy decision because I still miss it. I've been retired since 05 and I still miss it.
Yeah.
But I'd had it was personal. I had some domestic messiness at the home front. I just finished my second tour to Iraq, and I was had 2 little kids at home. I already had some comrades, some friends, good friends get killed. And their home life was a mess. My kiddies' home life was a mess. That the rule under which they were living was not ideal by a long shot. As a matter of fact, all I saw it doing was deteriorating if I wasn't there for them. So that was my driving force behind that. Was I needed to retire and be there for those nuggets. Is what I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Love that humility on your side.
And so my next question was actually, what was the hardest part of retiring? But I think it's kind of explained in the way of what you said earlier about it basically being a lifestyle. So like kind of following that, you went almost pretty much straight into combat training. How was that transition as a lifestyle for you?
When I first retired, I got hired right off the bat by a corporation to do training stuff like marksmanship, close quarter battle, that kind of thing. And a couple years into it, got laid off. So this is when things got really bad because I already didn't like what I was doing working for this corporation. On top of it, I already missed the military. I missed the camaraderie. I missed the relationships, the intimate relationships I had with other dudes, And then I get laid off, and then I have this horrible crap going on at home, this domestic messiness. So I had to generate my own company, and I started working instantly. It started developing more streams of revenue. But I started my own company, the TMACS, and then shortly thereafter, the combat strength training. Wrote an ebook and started doing that. And then there was just a whole slew of ups and downs, ebbs and flows. I mean, there was this thing here called sequestration in 2013 where the government federal had no money. And that's what I was doing. I was doing a lot of federal contracts. I went 7 months without work there, racking up credit card debt and all this stuff. Yeah. So it was not an easy transition. And I had some really, really deep, dark lows. And I mean, I ran into depression. And I was stuck in that rut for a long, long time, able to come out of that and kind of invigorate my business, rethink the business model, generate a couple new businesses. And man, since then, things have been really, really good. I'm on top of the world right now.
Love that.
But it didn't come without a lot of failure, a lot of trial,
Totally.
a lot of strife, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of darkness, all that stuff. And I wouldn't trade any of that crap for anything.
Yeah.
I would do all that again to have what I have
Wow.
right now.
I love
Pretty
that.
powerful words
It's-
right there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, man.
I can
So
I can definitely
powerful.
understand camaraderie in terms of like having a lot of dudes around, because I went to an all boys school, which is
Mhm.
like fairly common in where I am, Cape Town, South Africa. And you know, I can understand the camaraderie of having guys around you pretty much all the time. And it's, in a way, I think it's one of the reasons I joined a bagpipe band, because it's all the like camaraderie of men and whatever.
Nice.
You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
just for like the fun fact, it's a military pipe band called Achumachu Anti-Aircraft Regiment Pipe Band, or
Cool.
Cape Town Caledonian Pipe Band. But yeah, so moving on from that, you've picked up quite a few hobbies, and I think your most recent video is it a drawings or sketches?
Yeah.
So how did the drawing and sketching thing come about?
It's mental.
As a kid, I was kind of a gentle kid, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't enter, like, I didn't know toughness until I was probably 15 years old. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I was very gentle.
Yeah.
I was very artsy fartsy. I was the kid who would pick flowers, you know, and bring them home to my mom, and, you know, ride a unicycle to
Sweet.
school. And I wanted to learn magic while the other kids were playing football, you know. And I
Yeah.
started drawing at an early age too. And I just loved it. My grandfather was an artist, and I loved seeing what he could do with a pencil on even a piece of plywood. You know, it was
Oh,
like,
jeepers.
holy cow. That was his job. His job was a professional artist. He was a
Yeah.
sign painter, but his ability to sketch was unbelievable. It was really good. So, yeah, I started pretty young, and like you said, that's one of many, many
Yeah.
hobbies. I can't even keep track of them. Sometimes people say, "Oh yeah, I do this." I go, "Oh yeah, I do that too."
Yeah.
I just haven't
Yeah.
picked it up in a while, but yeah, that's a
Yeah.
hobby of mine. And then I fell into the I can't remember where it was, if I took a class on it, but I started doing that
Yeah.
pointillism, the pen and ink pointillism.
Yeah.
And so that's been my medium, you know. My style has been that pen and ink, that pointillism. I've dabbled in oil
Yeah.
and watercolor and pastels and charcoal and slate and sculpture and
Wow.
anything art I love.
Yeah.
But the pointillism is kind of unique to me, and you don't see a lot of it out there. And tell you the truth, it's pretty forgiving, and it's very therapeutic because it takes a while. You know, to do one of those drawings can take some time. So I'm going to reach over here and grab one real quick.
Go for it.
Go for it. Wow, that was way too in sync.
So these are miniaturized versions. I had some copies made, but I'll try to put it up for those of your listeners who are will watch this on video. They'll get a gist for what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
But
let's have a look at him.
I'll adjust this. So you know, this is Golden Eagle, right?
Beautiful.
Pair of Golden Eagles, and it's all dots. I don't know if the focus is going to be good enough. Let me bring this in closer. But you can see that it's all dots, you know? And so the sketch takes me a long time because I'm not, I can't just whip it out. You know, I can't just, there's a Golden Eagle. So I need that model in front of me. You know, I have to look at it and sketch it. And then you do certain things like look at it upside down to see if the perspective is correct. But once the sketch is done, you know, filling it in with the ink is very therapeutic and it's pretty forgiving. You know, it's hard to mess it up unless, of course, you mess up an eyeball or something like that, because everybody's going to notice that.
So
you know, if you mess up an eyeball, if you mess up an eyeball or a beak on a slap you in the face. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's one of, like you said, one of my many hobbies. It's good to have hobbies, I think.
100%. Keeps you busy, keeps your mind busy. And for like me, I'm ADHD, and I think like society puts that in a way like, oh, that's a bad thing, take medication for that. But I feel like that keeps you busy, and that just makes you branch into so many different hobbies and grows you as a person.
You know, I've talked about that on podcasts. I think when you're younger, it's a curse, because for me, I am also, you could just tell by the way I talk, I'm all over the place. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, love
But
it.
so when I was a kid, what where I fell behind was in study, studying, especially when I got
Same.
into junior high, high school. It was very hard to me to stay focused once the curriculum got more difficult. And it didn't start improving until I started getting busier, having
Yeah.
several jobs and being on the wrestling team. So the busier
Okay.
I was, the better I did in school with studies. And so I was a DC student and then ended up
Same.
my senior year on the honor roll, all year long,
Wow.
and
crazy.
was really able to
Incredible.
wrap my head around it more and be, compartmentalize when the best time to study is and try to get ahead of the power curve. That was a big one for me, not letting shit
Yeah.
fall. If you fall behind and you're 80 HD,
Yeah.
then now you're
Yep.
Yeah.
playing catch up
you're
now.
gone.
You're not gonna do it.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. And
100%. And speaking of hobbies, you have a great podcast, the University
Yep.
of Badassery. How did that all start?
So
What was the reason?
I do that with CJ Ortiz. So we
Yeah.
team up and do that. He's kind of CJ's turned not only a friend but a business partner to me. And I met this guy in the interwebs, just like I meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because his moniker on social media is the Metal Motivator. So he has a show called Metal Motivation. And it's really cool.
So cool.
If you follow, it should be on your list of people to follow because there's daily messages on there that are very inspirational and very thought-provoking. So I met him on social media. We just chatted, and then he moved. He was originally from North Carolina, moved back there, and then we linked up, and we just over a beer one day we started talking about a podcast. And it was funny because we were getting pints at this one growler shop that has rotating taps, and a fan was inside, and he said, "Hey, Pat Mac, I'm a big fan, this and that." And I said, "Hey, I don't mean to blow you off, but I'm drinking a beer out there with my buddy. Just come out and join us." Because I'm pretty grounded with that stuff, man. I don't care. So he came out and joined us, this guy, and I introduced him to CJ. CJ thinks he's a friend of mine. I'm like, nah, I just met him. I don't know. This is John. This is John who's drinking a beer with us right now. So CJ and I started talking about the notion of a podcast.
Yeah.
And we were cracking up, like talking about all the different topics and this and that. And this guy, this stranger, this fan who I just met was just riveted. He was back and forth listening to our banter. And he was like, holy cow, this is the podcast right here. What you guys are doing right here, right now, this is it. So,
This is it.
Yeah.
We changed names. It started out as Metal Motivation or excellence in let me see. I forget the name of it already. Yep,
Oh, no.
excellence in metal. But we figured we were hitting, because it had like heavy metal in the title,
Yeah.
that we figured we might be hitting a narrow demographic because it may have turned people, even though it wasn't about heavy metal, we would just open up talking about metal because, I'm a metalhead. I got my Judas Priest behind me there.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Got my flying V right here. So yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Headfield is all hell.
That's right.
So great. Yeah.
It's a fun podcast, man. It's a lot of fun. We don't do it often, it's like once every month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, as long as you keep it going,
so
it keeps going, it does what it does. And yeah. So, moving on to like in terms of marksmanship, do you still teach marksmanship, or have you?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, what's one of the most difficult things a beginner struggles with in marksmanship?
What I think I'm going to give you two different answers. One is just handling, right? So, for instance, just proper handling and mechanics, all this stuff,
Yeah.
the mechanics and being safe, safe. but that's really not marksmanship, right? That's one of the things that I am adamant about on the range is making sure that their handling is very professional. Now, in terms of marksmanship, what they struggle with are the bare bone fundamentals, sight alignment, true control, bare bone fundamentals. But that's what I focus on primarily, are those most important of the fundamentals. So they're if they're able to listen and learn, they learn very fast in my classes.
Link in description to that, guys. Go check it out.
Definitely. And I think we have like maybe 7.5 minutes left. And to kind of wrap everything off, is there what advice would you want to give to someone who is maybe, wanting to go into the realm of combat training or actually go into the military, etc., etc.? Is there any advice you would give to someone like that?
Well, the first thing is don't bite off more than you could chew. Some people, their goals are very, very ambitious, and they think to themselves, yeah, man, I want to join the military and I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. I'm going to be a Delta Force operator. I'm going to be a Green Beret. Those are very, very ambitious goals.
Yeah.
And you have to understand there's a lot of luck involved. It's a long process. It's not going to happen. It's not like going into a tattoo parlor and getting a freaking tattoo of special forces on your arm. And all of a sudden that's what you are, it takes years and years to be a professional. It takes 10 minutes to dress like one. So understand that first, that even though your goals may be ambitious, that it's just like you said, it is an absolute journey and there's a lot of luck involved. So, and I also tell people, make sure you're doing it for the right reason. Don't try to go into special ops because you want to wear multicam fast tech snaps and Velcro, and have cool guns strapped to you. Go in for the right reasons, because in like peacetime army days, a lot of guys went in for the wrong reasons. They saw First Blood and they were like, oh man, I'm going to be a Green Beret because Rambo. Where
Rambo, let's go.
After the global war and terror took off, 2001, a lot of guys showed up for the right reasons, and that was like the next best generation, where people say World War II is best generation. After the global war and terror, that was like the next best generation. Because guys were, if they were going in to joining the military to be a ground pounder, infantryman, any combat arms or any special ops, they were going in they know what they were signing up for. It wasn't to wear fast tech snaps and Velcro and multicam and to dress like a cool guy. They wanted to get some.
Yeah.
Come on.
Protect their country, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So you got to have the right reasons in mind, and it's got to be selfless.
Love that. Great wise words, Pat.
Right on.
Pat, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a complete legendary time, honestly.
Indeed it has.
Is there anything you want to plug or advertise?
No, if people want to find me, like my handle on IG is TMACS INC, TMACS INC, and most everything from there is on my link tree. My website, my bio, my store, my bling, and then I have that. It's a fun YouTube channel too, Pat Mac YouTube channel, and then of course, University of Badassery. Check that out too.
Definitely check that out.
Cool.
Link in description to that, guys. Go check it out. Like and subscribe to this channel. Go send Pat some support, some love. Let him know that he's a great guy, because he truly is. Pat, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a
Thanks,
pleasure,
guys.
man.
Right on.
Cheers. Peace, man.
Thanks.
Out.
All right. Have a good one.